Hello, my name is Kelly Powell, and I am an advisor at South Plains College at the Reese campus. And I'm going to be speaking to you today about time management. So let's go ahead and get going. All right. So, this is what most college students think of when they think about time management, where we have these three things, and these are the only three things that we can have. We have to choose between these three things. We can either have a social life and good grades, or we can have a social life and sleep, or sleep and grades. But that's it. That's the only three things that we can have, which obviously this is not the case when it comes to time management. Time management in college actually looks much more like this, where our goal is to get a degree, and all of these things are equally important into achieving that goal. We have to have work, obviously, we have to buy those textbooks, we have to pay rent, we have to have food, we have to sleep. Sleep is critically important to learning. Sleep is actually where we take things in short term memory and process them into long term memory. So if you've ever pulled that all nighter and studied, and then got to the test and couldn't remember anything, that's because sleep is where we process things into long term memory. So sleep is critical. We obviously have to study and have good grades, but we also have to have time with friends and family, and we have to take care of our health and wellness. If we don't take care of our health, we're not going to be able to fulfill that long term goal of the degree. Also, family and friends are usually the reason that we're pursuing the degree. If you think about a degree being a long term commitment of at least 2 years for an associate's or 4 years for a bachelor's degree, then keeping our family and friends and cutting that out of our life for 2 to 4 years is just not possible. So we're going to have to make sure that we take care of those things that feed our soul, our family, our friends, those other commitments, which are usually the reason driving our goal to get a degree in the first place. We have to have those things in place to keep that long-term commitment of the degree. But ultimately, it's not even about the degree. And we're going to be talking in this presentation a little bit about why are we doing this. Ultimately, it's about this: lifetime goals. Most of us are not in school just to get the degree. We're actually here to get the degree for some other reason. We're here to get that degree to either take care of ourselves, our friends, our family, so that we can provide a better living for our family, for our children, so that we can achieve life goals like maybe I want to travel, maybe it's very important to me to give back to my community. Those are the life goals. And so in that instance, this is really what it looks like, where the degree is something that's actually getting us to achieving our big lifetime goals of taking care of our family, taking care of our community, those types of things. And that's where all of these things end up contributing to these overall lifetime goals. So we're going to talk about priorities. When we talk about time management, really what we're talking about is how do we prioritize things that we're going to do. All things that we are doing, if they're important, should have time scheduled to them. I'm a list maker, so I like my little to-do list. I know lots of people like our to-do list. We get excited when we get to scratch things off that to-do list, and that's great. They all have a place and a purpose. But if we're not actually assigning a time to do things, sometimes it's really easy to get caught up in that scratching off the list because it feeds us, it gives us a sense of accomplishment. And what we end up doing is not really the things that are important, but the things that are easy to scratch off, right? So if it's something important, we need to schedule time. So if we say that school is important, if we say that getting this degree is important, then we need to be scheduling time for study. We need to be scheduling time for reading that assignment. And we actually need to have that scheduled. We need to have work scheduled, class scheduled, sleep is important. We have to have that scheduled. We have to feed ourselves, those types of things. So scheduling actual assignments for these types of things actually works better than to-do list. There's a link to a good article about this if you want to read more about that. But if you think of your time like money, when we do budgeting, the first thing they say is write down everything you spend your money on for like a week or 2 weeks. Actually see where we're spending our money. Be honest with yourself about where that money's going. At the end of the month, you're like, why am I broke? We have to see where we're spending our money. time is like money. So where are we really truly spending our money? When students come in and they say, I study all the time and I just don't understand why I'm passing. Well, I'm not passing. Are we really spending the time that we think we're spending, or are we getting distracted by other things? If you want to see what's important to you, see how you're spending your time. Not everything can be important all the time, and this is why priorities are important when you look at time management. When time is short, we have to look at our priorities to find out what are we going to get rid of, okay? What do we have to cut? So that's where we go back to looking at that big circle about what is my life goal, and then working backwards from that. And so in this instance, I'm going to use the example of my life goal is to provide for my family. And I have decided that for me to do that, I'm going to become a nurse, because I know I can go anywhere in the state of Texas and get a job, make good money. I can provide for my family by being a nurse, okay? So if I'm trying to decide what's most important for me to do, study, sleep, go to a movie with my friends, my goal is to provide for my family. I'm going to do that by becoming a nurse. How am I going to do that? I've got to graduate from an RN program. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to have to get into an RN program. So what am I going to have to do to get into an RN program? I've decided I need to make an A or a B in Biology 2401, which is anatomy and physiology. So if I have to make an A or a B in this class, what do I have to do this week or month to reach that goal? So looking at what do I have to do this week or month to reach that goal, I have to pass my first exam with an A or B in this biology class. So if I'm looking at what activity is most critical, I have to study. Sleep is where short-term memory gets moved into long-term memory. So I probably need to do this, and I probably need to do this in order to reach this. So this week or month, I may have to sacrifice this to reach this goal, which is ultimately getting me here. So I have to look at these things on a week-by-week or month-by-month basis to see what is my goal for that week. Now let's look at the logistics of setting a schedule. And this is kind of the mechanical bits and pieces. So we're going to talk about paper forms, but I also at the end have some links for y'all on how you can use your apps on your phones, because most of y'all, always have this thing around. So we're going to have some links at the end for that. These are 2 paper forms. We actually have this on our website, which I have at the end of the presentation. So if you're like me, I get excited and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to go to Office Depot, and I'm looking at the planners and I'm like, I need one that has monthly and weekly, and it has to have tabs, and I want it to be this size because it has to fit in my purse, and da-da-da-da-da. And then I look at it and it costs $30 or $40 and I'm cheap. So I'm like, I can't afford that. So I usually end up getting the free one from the college or from the library that looks like this because I'm cheap and I'm not going to spend that money. So I totally get it. These things are expensive. So you can get these 2 forms from our website and print them if you want to, punch holes in them, put them in a binder. Doing this does not have to be a difficult thing. It does not have to be an expensive thing. I like this one because it's 30-minute blocks, and I tend to think in 30-minute blocks. This one is set up for your traditional kind of hour and 15-minute schedule that your classes are set up in, but I kind of like the 15-minute block or the 30-minute blocks. I can always draw a line and know that that's 15 minutes. But you can just print these from our website if you don't want to go and buy a calendar. What we're going to do with this is the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your priority, your big ticket items first. Class times, okay? Get all your class times written down. Your lab times. You're going to take those syllabus. Remember those things you got at the beginning of the semester? And you're going to write down all your major assignments. This is when this is due. This is when this is due. You're going to write that down for the whole semester. Then you're going to go back and you're going to be like, when do I eat? When do I wake up? When do I sleep? We got to work, okay? Some of us have to work. So when do I have to work? When do I have to leave campus in order to get to where I'm going for work? And then other obligations. Do you have to pick up or drop off kids? Do you have to trade off cars with another person, like a parent or a sibling, so that they can get to work? What other obligations? Put all those in to your weekly schedule, hopefully for the whole semester. You might have to do that a little differently if your schedule changes for work every week. but put all the big ticket items in there if you can for the whole semester. Then you need to look at these other things that are really important. Again, we're not talking about just a semester. You have to remember, you have to keep this going for at least 1 year for a certificate, 2 years for an associate's. You may want a bachelor's degree, that's 4 years. Maybe you want to go to medical school, that's additional time beyond that. So we're not just talking about the immediate semester. And if we're going to keep going for 2 years, for 4 years, we've got to take care of these other things. We've got to take care of our health and wellness. We've got to feed our emotional and our soul, because we can't keep burning the candle at both ends if we're not taking care of the things that actually drive us to do well and other things. So you have to plan for, when am I going to work out? When am I going to cook a decent meal? When am I going to take care of my spiritual and social and my soul side? Am I going to go to church? Am I going to play with a dog? Am I going to hang out with my friends and family? Go see grandma? The things that keep it important to me. We've got to schedule those things as well. Then we got to find time to study, okay? So in the ideal world, which none of us live in, this is how we would plan our study time. And then we're going to talk about the reality of what happens. So in the ideal world, you want to preview before class 10 to 30 minutes before class, okay? Then you want to review the class material after class 10 to 30 minutes after each class. Now, there's a reason for this, okay? Cognitively, when they do cognitive research on how you learn, if you review something within an hour of hearing it, you retain 90% more of the information. The longer you delay when you review it, you remember less. So yes, in the perfect world, we would love to sit down and review that information. So a lot of time our math classes have a weird kind of where they end at a weird time frame, and it just so happens that you usually have 20 to 30 minutes before your next class. Perfect time to sit down and review those math notes, make additions to where things make sense, and review things for clarity. Then you also need to have intensive study for each class on a daily basis. I'm going to study for each class. You don't want to skip probably more than a day between each class because, again, frequency is very important for review. And then we need to have, of course, intensive weekly review for each class. Now, ideal world, right? We may not be able to study before each class, but let's get creative. Could we record our lecture and listen to our lecture as we're driving to that A&P class in Levelland? Could we put terms on postcards, and as I'm brushing my teeth, I can be reading terminology on postcards in my bathroom or in my bedroom or walking down the hall? Could I look at flashcards between class, 15 minutes between class? This doesn't have to be I sit down and study for an hour. This could be I'm studying 5 to 10 minutes between classes, okay? Keep in mind the rule of thumb about you study 3 hours for every credit hour you register for, 2 to 3 hours, okay? So that means if you're taking 12 hours, you're supposed to be studying, multiply that by 2 or 3, 24 to 36 hours a week outside of your class time. Now, that is based on a lot of research that they do on college success, not just what Kelly says, but I also have been working with college students for 20 years. Let me tell you, if you're not passing, look at the amount of time you're studying for that individual class. Are you studying the recommended 2 to 3 hours per credit hour? So a 3-hour class, you should be studying 9 hours a week for that one class, okay? Add that up. That's a lot of outside study time, and you're going to look at it and say it's not possible. But if we could break it up into small time bites, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes here, and then our bigger blocks of time, is it possible to get that in? Ideally, this is what we want it to look like. Ta-da! Is our schedule, our weekly schedule, okay? Now, I'll be honest, my schedule doesn't look like this. I'm lucky to get it written down on a piece of paper, and the color, where did we go? There we go, sorry. The color doesn't speak to me. I'm not a visual person. So, but for some people, color is very important. One of the ladies here in the office, everything is color coded. Color doesn't speak to me. I'm good to write it down. But if color works for you, color code that baby. But getting it written down, class, 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 focus study. I'm going to sleep here. Sundays are dedicated to family and fun. Fridays are dedicated for family and fun. Saturday is going to be my weekly review. 15 minutes preview, review, work time, yoga. So this person has their review times listed. They've got their focus times listed. Now, one thing about the Saturday weekly review, if you are going to study in a big block of time, like all day, do not sit there for 8 hours. Let me give you a tip. Your brain is lazy. It really doesn't want to focus for anything for more than an hour. So I would set a timer. I've literally done this, kitchen timer, 50 minutes, 50 minutes. Set that kitchen timer. When that bell goes off, you set another timer for 15 minutes. And you physically get up and do something else. I don't care if you walk around the house, take the dog for a 15-minute walk. I did laundry because, laundry has to happen, right? But laundry made me physically get up, take it out of the dryer, put it in the washer, fold it, hang it, put it up. 15 minutes, you need something that gets your heart rate up, okay, because you need oxygen to your brain. So we got to get that heart rate moving so we get some blood going up to the brain. But you don't want to sit there and study for 8 hours straight. You need to give yourself breaks. So if you work and you have to, Saturday is your day to get it done, give yourself breaks. 50 minutes of study, 15-minute break. 50 minutes of study, 15-minute break, okay? Okay, so major assignments, and I will tell you this is something I learned actually as a professional, not so much in school. But somehow in school, I was able to always just pull it out at the last minute. Don't recommend that. Don't learn by that. In my former career, I wrote grants for a living. So you can't write a $5 million grant on the night before. So last thing you want to do is turn that page in your calendar and realize you have a 10-page paper due. So let's use this as an example. We wrote all those major deadlines in our calendar at the beginning. But now what we want to do, we have that major deadline of, say, a December 1 research paper. We want to work backwards. So I know it's due December 1. I got to break that down into smaller assignments for myself. Now, maybe our faculty member didn't tell us this, but I'm going to do this for myself. And I'm going to have assignments that are small bites so that I have already completed these things so that when I get to December 1, I'm done. So this is our example. You can do this for any assignment. We're just going to use this as an example. December 1 is when it's due. So that means I'm going to choose my topic October 23rd. Okay? This is in my calendar. I'm going to discuss my topic with my instructor October 26th. Again, I've written this in my calendar. That way I know that I am on target with what my topic is. I'm talking to the instructor of the class. Hey, is this what you want us to do? They say yes. Excellent. I begin my research in the library October 27th through November 4th. I love the research. I could be in the library all day long. So October 27th through the 4th. Then I'm going to outline my ideas for the paper and discuss it with my instructor. Again, am I on target? Is this what you want? Etc. November 5th through the 11th. I'm going to be writing November 12th through the 20th. I'm going to finalize my paper the 23rd through the 24th. This is why. Kelly does not work on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my family time. That is where I feed my soul. That is where I don't want to work. I want to spend it with my family. I want to eat. I want to get fat. I want to sleep on the couch. I don't want to do homework. So I am going to set my schedule to where I reward myself and I don't do homework on Thanksgiving. So that means on the 29th, so hopefully I finalized my paper the 23rd and 24th. Hopefully I'm done. I don't even have to worry about it on Thanksgiving. And so on the 29th, I'm submitted that prior to my deadline of December 1. So that means if something tragic happens, I have a day or two before my December 1 deadline. And all these things are things I've written in my schedule so that I have set timeline for myself to keep on track. Another thing that I like to do is create a semester on a page. And this is a big picture snapshot of the entire semester. These are for big things, not little things. These are going to be placed somewhere like at the fridge, the bathroom mirror, or maybe the front of your planner as a summary. You're going to put big dates on there. Do not use the dates that are listed here. This is for fall of 2017. So legal disclaimer, these are not the refund dates, so do not use them. But this is an example of, I can put on there, when is the last day to drop? When is the last day to drop with a 25% refund, so that I know when that is. If I'm having a difficult class and I need to know, hey, when the last day to drop is, I've got it on a one-page sheet. If I need to know when my finals are, when my fourth test is. We used to do this when I lived with roommates in college, and it was also a good way to get people in your home, whether that's roommates or maybe it's mom and dad or maybe it's siblings, so that they know what's going on in your life. And I was a first-generation college student. My parents didn't go to college. They wanted me to go, they supported me in going, but they didn't know about the college experience. So it was a good way for them to know, too, that what was going on for me as a college student, so that they could support me, because they didn't know what the college experience was like. So they could say, oh, she has finals this week. They didn't know when finals were. So they knew, ooh, she has finals, and when I had roommates, it was like, oh, let's, cook this weekend so that this person that has a major project doesn't have to do it, or, we're going to do something nice. So it's also a good way to share with the people in our life what's going on with us without just being a crazy person and, going off the handle on them. So anyway, it's a nice tool for you, but also for those people that are in our life as well. Schedules are useless if you never look at them. So you need to look at them at the start of each day, at the end of each day, and then on Saturdays. So at the start of each day, you're going to review what you need to do that day, glance at what's coming up for the week, and prioritize what has to be done on that day. At the end of each day, you're going to look at what you got done, what you didn't get done, reprioritize for the next day, look at the next day. Are you ready? Do you have your supplies for the next day? And glance at the rest of the week. And then Saturday is when you're going to look at what's coming up for the next week. Always do that on Saturday, because if you turn the page and there's something major due on Monday, it gives you Sunday to catch up and to take care of those oops kind of situations. Be honest with yourself about your time, and this is probably where we all get in trouble. Make sure you're doing what you're doing when you're doing it, okay? Remove distractions from the task at hand. And this is where we talk about this thing. Lovely thing here. So we are so attached to our cell phones, and also people in our life are so attached to being able to get a hold of us no matter what, no matter when. So we have to detach from that. We also have to train the people in our life sometimes that, hey, I have a major math exam coming up. So Mondays from 4 to 5, I'm doing nothing but math. So unless you're dying, I can't deal with you at that point in time. So don't call me, don't text me unless there's just something major going on. Sometimes we need to gently let people know that in our life, okay? Don't let yourself be overwhelmed with what you have to do. If you're studying for math, we study for math. We don't worry about chemistry. We study on that one topic at that time. These are just a couple of data points about how much time we waste on social media. This was a 2015 stat, so it's kind of old. But on average, people spent 4.7 hours per day on their phones. So if you multiply 4 hours, we'll round it down, 4 hours times 7, that's 28 hours a day, or 28 hours a week. So how easy would it be to get your 24 to 36 hours of study time if we just cut back on what we did with social media and on our cell phones? And if you want to get really scared, look at that tracking. There's actually something on Facebook where you can track how much time you spend on Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of fun stuff. It'll shock you. Here are some useful apps that you can use this thing for good instead of evil. So you can actually use the calendar planning features. Google Calendar is the one I've heard most people use. So instead of doing this on a paper and pencil kind of version, you can do it on your phone. And these are some resources that we have. If you're looking to print those schedule forms that I mentioned, that's available at our advising and testing resource link here. Also, The academic calendar, very underutilized feature. If you want to know when the last day to drop is, if you want to know when we open registration for the spring, if you want to know any of those dates, when finals start, when the 25% refund date is, all that fun stuff, go to the main website, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and look for academic calendar, and you will find all that information. Also, we are always here to help you. So if you have questions about time management or any other skill resource or degree planning or career exploration or anything like that, come see us at Advising and Testing. Actually, because of COVID, can't come see us right now, but we can see you via Zoom. And we can also talk to you via phone and various other things. So set up an appointment. We have that available through our website where you can go and book directly with us. So thank you so much. We hope you have a great day. If you have any questions, again, my name's Kelly Powell. I'd be glad to help you out, and have a great day.